Welcome to a brand new series on F1 2020 on the new update 1.12. It's a brand new career mode, and as you'll be able to see from the title, we will be driving with Ferrari in this series. Obviously, the big talking point in this new update is that all the Ferrari powered cars have now dropped down to more present real life, and Racing Point have been lifted up as well. Ferrari's still up in fourth, which I think is quite generous to be fair, but that is who we're going to be going with. We're also going to be picking Charles Leclerc as our teammate because obviously Vettel is out at the end of the season, and obviously Leclerc is signed up long term to Ferrari, so it makes more sense to partner with him. We're also going to be doing 16 races to reflect more the real life 2020 season. Obviously we can't do anything about the calendar, obviously the tracks aren't there and are meant to be there, but we are going to be doing 16 races as I believe it is in real life. We will go to 22 for future seasons, but for season 1 we're going to do the shortened 16 race season. So looking at the settings then, we're going to do a full qualifying this time round, full knockout qualifying. We're going to do 50% races, and the AI driver level is going to be on 107. I think I'm going to try and keep it at that for every race. I think it'll be difficult in some and easier in others, but yeah, just going through the settings, it's a lot of what I normally run with, to be fair. Split corner cutting, we'll do full damage rather than simulation, and we don't run with assists either. So that is the settings then, and we shall now head then into this new career mode with Ferrari. And yeah, it's, as I say, it's a return to glory, so obviously the goal here is to try and bring Ferrari back where they belong at the front, because they have fallen a long way short of that in recent times. Bernardo says we are going to have a fantastic season. I'm very much doubtful, but obviously this is the rebuild season, I guess, and hopefully success is going to come later. Now, you'll notice that even though the Ferrari teams have been demoted, it's not that much. They still have the second best engine, still ahead of Renault, still ahead of Honda, which just is not realistic at all. Obviously it's good that they've not got the best engine now, but it's still not very realistic that they've still only just behind Mercedes. So when I was having this idea, I was hoping they'd be a bit further down than that. Obviously Aero is a bit more realistic, they're behind quite a few teams there, and the chassis again, they're a bit higher than I'd expect. Although to be fair, the chassis hasn't been too bad, it has been Aero, to be fair, that has been the worst for them. So I guess the chassis is probably quite accurate and the Aero, but the engine power just is not realistic at all. So this is another self-imposed challenge I'm putting on this, that for the first half of the season we are not going to do any engine upgrades at all, nothing to the performance, nothing to durability either. I'm also going to make sure I don't do too many practice programs, just so that we can get about only half of the possible resource points, and then just so that we're not overstacking them on the Aero and the chassis. That's like a self-imposed challenge that I guess you could say we'll just pretend was the punishment for Ferrari. They're not allowed to upgrade their engine for the first half of the season, so that is what we'll be doing. So yeah, focus for now then is just going to be on the chassis and the Aero, and once we get to the halfway point, that's when we'll start upgrading the engine, and hopefully that will make it a bit more like real life. Maybe then other teams will have pulled away a bit and it'll be more like real life with how Ferrari's engine is. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out then. I don't know if that'll work or not, but I certainly hope that it will then, for to be a bit more of a challenging and realistic series. We're advancing time now then. The first thing that we've got coming up is the car reveal for Get the Season, so we'll go do that now. Obviously each week we earn resource points just without even doing anything, so we'll make the most of those, but as I say, we'll earn a lot less during race weekends. I'll make sure to do that. So yeah, we can put another Aero upgrade on. I sort of focused on the rear part of the chassis and the Aero, because obviously the Ferrari has been notoriously pretty bad with slides, and obviously we've spent plenty of spinning from one of the cars, but yeah, that's certainly what I wanted to put more work into. But unfortunately, the first chassis upgrade failed, so we had to spend a bit more than we wanted to on that, and we won't have that on the car for the first race of the season. So yeah, that's not ideal, but still we managed to claw a bit of ground back. It'll be interesting to see what happens then when we're just putting on aero and chassis upgrades for this first half of the season, if we can actually keep up with just doing that and only earning about half the resource points. But nonetheless, then we're going to start our first Grand Prix weekend now, then the Bahrain Grand Prix, and yeah, practice then. Yeah, well, that happened just as as well normal for Ferrari really to see the one that's not driven by Leclerc spinning out there. But yeah, we went for a bit of a spin there, but thankfully in the second practice we started to get the hang of things a bit better, and we're going to be passing one of the practice programs then, so getting a bit more used to the car now then, and we'll see how it's stacking up. And well, looking at those practice 2 results, it's not looking too great for the team, although Leclerc was on the medium tyres there, so that's not too bad from him. We'll now head into qualifying then, and well, we'll see what on earth these cars can manage then. 4th best car, so maybe we'll be hoping for Q3 here then. Certainly hope so, but I'll see. Our aero isn't too great, and there are quite a few fast corners around here. It doesn't help that our own customer car is blocking us in Q1 there, so that's not ideal, but we'll see how our lap time goes then as we come to the line now then, and it is only a 26.4, which puts us behind Stroll, Norris, but it was thankfully enough for us to get through to Q2. And Leclerc, just like in real life, is absolutely dragging the life out of that Ferrari then. He's up in P5 after the first qualifying session, while we're down in 12th place. And unsurprisingly, a lot of Ferrari powered cars going out in that session, but still ahead of the 2 Williams cars, and Kimi Raikkonen was the only one there to get through of the customer cars. Into Q2 then, we did improve a bit then to a 26.2, but then on our final lap at the end, just had a bit of a slide there out of turn 10, such a difficult corner which I've never liked at all there, and that cost us a bit of time, about a tenth really, and it's looking like it could be hard for us to gain this back, although we do have a very good turn 11 there, so it's looking like we may be able to claw it back, but just about on the delta there. But we ran a bit wide in the penultimate corner just when it was looking quite close there. We still are quite close though, so if we get a good final corner here, then we may be able to claw it back and make some kind of improvement. We'll have to wait and see, but I think maybe we just clouded that curve a bit too much. We didn't really carry enough speed out the corner, and unfortunately we are not going to improve on this lap. We're going to be 14th on the grid, so it's a really miserable start to the season then, as Leclerc is somehow managing to drag something out of the car. As I said, it's just like real life, to be honest, but yeah, he seems to be barely affected by this update that's happened, but we'll see what happens when we stop putting engine upgrades on the car at least. But yeah, we've certainly got a lot of work to do now then, from 14th on the grid, and obviously it's looking like it's going to be dry, but yeah, we'll see what on earth we can do then from the midfield then, as we now are going to head to the race.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. Formula One returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36 mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities. It could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. Here we are then, Formula One in 2020. The fight for the World Championship all starts here today. Mercedes on the hunt for a 7th consecutive title. They'll have Ferrari and Red Bull to contend with along the way. Williams struggled to find their feet last year. They'll be hoping for a stronger start this time around. And what I wonder of the Renault-powered cars. Will they be able to step forward, maybe even onto the podium on a regular basis? Plenty to discuss then with Anthony Davidson. He's out of hibernation too, and alongside me in the commentary box once again.
It's good to be back, Crofty. Let's hope for some good racing today. We can't know at this point how competitive these teams are relative to each other, but hopefully nobody is able to run and hide. We want to see these drivers pushing to the limit all the way to the checkered flag.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Sergio Perez, and Albon, Sainz, Ricciardo, Norris, and Lance Stroll, Gasly, Kvyat, Esteban Ocon, the scientist, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Romain Grosjean, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Russell, and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
There is another self-imposed element that I've added to this career mode as well, and that is that, because obviously Ferrari are well known for their very interesting strategies at times, another extra thing we're adding is, whatever the team tells us to do in terms of strategy, I have to do it. So this is what they're telling us to do. We've got to start on the hard tyres. I certainly would not have done that, but that's what they're telling us to do, so we're going to do it. And anytime, you know, during the race, any race, whatever, they tell us, you know, we're changing the strategy, we've got to go with it. Because I don't know why I'm doing that to myself, but I guess it would just be a more interesting thing, I guess, for a Ferrari career mode if we, you know, follows like all the crazy strategy calls that, you know, this game can sometimes throw up. And obviously, yeah, we know that Ferrari can certainly do that in real life at times. As we now line up then on the grid, we'll see what we can do from P14. We've got the lights coming on now. Away we go then for the first race of our career, and we get a decent launch there. I think we're going straight into overtake then, see if we can get in the slipstream and take some positions here into turn 1. We're very aggressive on the brakes into turn 1. We bang wheels slightly with Ricciardo there up in front of us. We managed to get away with no damage though, but I think we then got a bit bunched in on the inside and we lost a few places. We also had contact with the other Renault there of Ocon, and Kvyat there is having a great run. It's almost like we've already got this engine deficit there with the straight line speed disadvantage there, but nonetheless we managed to go for a late lunge there on Ocon, and we have moved ourselves up into 12th place, so we did manage to gain a couple of places then from the start. But yeah, it's a bit of a surprise there, the lack of speed we had up towards turn 4. We see the replay then of the start, and saw there Leclerc as well didn't look like he had the best launch from the second row. So that was an incredible qualifying from him in the end. We see there we just go for that late lunge up the inside. We all got very close there. There's 3 wide up in front of us there, and then a bit further up we see the move on Esteban Ocon there on the second Renault, and we managed to make that one stick. We're going to now see a start then on board from Ocon, and yeah, the Ferrari was alongside him, and then it wasn't there for much longer because yeah, we had a very strong start. But nonetheless, then Ocon with a nice gap there on the outside until one of the AlphaTauris moved across there. But then looked like he was in a good position there, but I think he just got a little bit boxed in there on the inside. There's a lot of cars on his outside, and it was a bit hard to turn in there. But yeah, nonetheless, then he was up a place, as were we. But then we managed to demote him back down to 13th place, and yeah, it was 2 places gain for us. It's our teammate start, and yeah, as it looked from the off-board camera, it just was not a good start at all. But somehow we managed to retain his position there then, as the team Mercedes went wheel to wheel into turn 1, and actually Leclerc went up the back of Verstappen there. I'm not sure actually if Leclerc actually had a nudge himself there from one of the racing points, but yeah, it certainly was a bit of contact there between Leclerc and Verstappen. But yeah, Leclerc trying to run around the outside, but just couldn't make it stick there in turn 4. But still is in a very, very impressive 4th place for the time being. As we skip to the end, well, the start of lap 2 then, and we're right in slipstream with Pierre Gasly, but just not closing in at all there, even when we were using overtake. So I guess he was also using it there. He also had a bit of a slipstream from the racing point up in front of him there of Lance Stroll, so maybe that made a difference. In fact, by the next lap, we were looking behind us rather than in front of us, because here comes Ocon. We got ahead of him at the start, and now it looks like he's coming back through, is he? We managed to defend that one quite well there, but yeah, for the time being, these hard tyres are just not working at all. Gasly is pulling away from us, and well, he got close on the last lap, and I don't think we're going to be able to do anything to defend from this one. Ocon is through way before the corner there, and up to 12th place, and yeah, this is not good because we're already out of the points. We want to be moving forward in this race, and we're losing even more positions here. So yeah, this is certainly not the start to the race we wanted then. And okay, gotta look at that strategy decision really. Why are we starting on the hard tyres when they just don't have any pace at this point? Well, looks like they are, at least after about 5 laps, finally starting to come to us a bit more, because we did manage to stay within the RS range of Ocon then, so we may be able to take his place straight back then, as he does go defensive. We actually sell him a bit of a dummy there, go back to the racing line and then go around the outside and move ourselves back up into 12th position. So we're back on the charge then. We've closed back up to Gasly a bit as well there then, so hopefully it's just now a case then of the hard tyres took a little bit longer to get up to speed, and now that tyre wear is starting to kick in a bit, they may be a bit quicker. As we skip then to lap 6, Leclerc is already in then, so hopefully that's not a sign of the Ferrari in its tyres a bit much there, but there's certainly a very early stop, earlier than anyone else there for Charles Leclerc. Skipping a few more laps now then, it's looking like we are finally in a good position here then to pass Gasly, and actually everyone else in front of us is now pitted, so this is now a pass for the lead then. We do the same thing that we did with Ocon, really just allow him to take the inside line, we'll take the racing line then, round the outside, and we managed to get the move done. We're up into the lead of the Grand Prix then, so not what I was expecting to say, but I guess that shows that a lot of people up in front of us may be on 2 stoppers then, and we may be in a good position then with this 1 stop. We had a few quiet laps after that then, because the medium tyres pitted a few laps after that. I wasn't really challenged at the front up until when the leaders came through then on their 2 stop. So Bottas then was leading that group and he was the first to catch us up. I was actually a bit surprised he didn't pass us on the pit straight there, but he's now going to certainly pass us into turn 4 it looks like. We don't really want to fight this one too much, but he's very slow on the inside there, so we're just going to try and drive around the outside if we can, but it looks like he's got ahead then into turn 5, and then he just brake checked us by the looks of things, then we break our front wing. That is so frustrating, because we were driving our own race there, weren't really getting involved at all, and yeah, it looked like our strategy may have been starting to work out there, but then I don't know what Bottas is doing there. He had the position and then just slowed right down. We're going to watch on board, and yeah, he's just about getting the move done then, passes into turn 4, and he's ahead and then just slows right down on the apex there. That's just very shady driving from him there then, and we've broken our front wing, so that's really scuffed our plans a bit then, because we were looking in a pretty good position here then on our 1 stop. We've now got Hamilton all over the back of us then, as we were struggling so much to turn the car through that fast turn 12. Hamilton's got a great run just now then towards the final corner, but just does not seem to have the speed there on the apex. That was a bit weird. We just drive straight around the outside of him there, so I'm not sure what that was all about, because that was a very easy move it looked like for Hamilton there, but he could not make it stick. We do at least get to our pitting lap now then. That was the one good thing about this, is that it happened only a lap before our pitting lap, so we didn't have to drive for too long. And in fact, look at that then, Hamilton on his 2 stop is pitting on the same lap as us. We were basically a pit stop ahead of most of the front runners there, but that has now gone to waste a bit because of this front wing damage. It's 8.8, but it's even longer because we had to wait there for the McLaren of Lando Norris, so yeah, that was a much longer pit stop than we would have wanted. That was just really unfortunate for us there, because well, we were ahead of Hamilton, Verstappen, they both pitted behind us, and well, now we're well behind. In fact, Ocon, Gasly, they're long gone. In fact, they were on a 1 stop as well, going the other way from medium to hard, and now they're we're behind the other AlphaTauri as well, Danny Kvyat. So it'll be interesting to see how these 1 and 2 stops play out, but still, compared to who we were racing before, we've actually lost out quite a lot there when it was looking like we could have been in a good position. But nonetheless, then we did seem to be a bit quicker than both Kvyat and Sainz then, and we get a good run here then down the pit straight. Can we get both of them here? It's looking like we may just about do it on the brakes then. We're up the inside of both of them, and we're up then into 11th place with our teammate Charles Leclerc also getting to the end on the medium tyres, right in front of us then. So we've actually ended up right with him in this race, but yeah, we could well have been even ahead of him without that one incident. But anyway, you see a replay then of that move, taking both of them into turn 1, and it was Kvyat who started that straight in the lead, and he's ended up behind both us and Sainz then. As Sainz does the move then, he gets up the inside of Kvyat, and then it looks like he's just too busy watching him there, because just leaves the door wide open for us as well there to go through as well. So we go through and take a couple of places, and now it's just a case of how many two stoppers can we beat in this race. We've passed Albon, Perez and Ricciardo there on that lap as they all pitted, and now Lance Stroll is in as well, so that puts us up into quite a strong 7th place then, considering we started down in 14th. But as we see here then, this is the battle for the final 2 podium places, and it's Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, who we were racing right near the start of this race, and they're holding off Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen at the moment. Bottas is clear at the front, but yeah, we would have been right in this if it had not been for that incident with Bottas, so that is very frustrating for us then. I mean, we probably wouldn't have been able to hold off the Mercedes and the Red Bull, but still, it's very frustrating that we weren't able to be a part of that, because obviously we were on the medium tyres as well, so we could have maybe pulled away from Ocon and Gasly there. But nonetheless, then we've got to just try and do what we can do from here now. And by a few laps later, Gasly had been passed, undercut adrift a bit, and that was allowing us to close up to him. And it's looking like this could end up being like a last lap lunge then, because we closed up right as we start the penultimate lap. Then we're quite deep into the corner, but we're right on the tail of the AlphaTauri now then, so it's looking like we're just going to have to charge up our battery a bit for this lap, try and stay on the back of him, and then just go for that run down the pit straight and into turn 1. I think that's going to be the best chance for us here then of getting this move done, and yeah, it would be really good if we could do it then, because obviously, as I said, we started this race way down in 14th place, so if we can get ourselves up to 6th here, then that would be a pretty good recovery drive. That is exactly what we do then with the DRS, with the overtake. We had the move done there before we even got to turn 1, and we're up to 6th place then. Ocon sadly just a little bit too far to row for us then, 2.5 seconds, and I think that maybe that was as far as we could have got past Ocon if we hadn't had any kind of instance. Even though Leclerc is only another few seconds up the road, I think it would have been quite hard for us to have beaten our teammate here today then. As for us though, we crossed the line at 6th place on our debut.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
A fantastic team effort then to secure victory here in the desert. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
There are the final results then. It's just like it was in the first race of 2019 then, with Valtteri Bottas taking the win and the fastest lap there to start the season off with 26 points. But this time around, Verstappen did get ahead of Hamilton then, and has managed to split the two Mercedes there, so an impressive effort from him. And Charles Leclerc, what a weekend from him. Qualified 4th, finished 4th, and just absolutely dragging the life out of this Ferrari. Ocon there, very unlucky to miss out on a podium in the closing stages there. He was making that strategy work very well, and we were 6th place and having qualified down in 14th, so good recovery from both of us there, to be honest, as Gasly was 7th, and it was Sainz, Albon and Perez that rounded out the points finishes. Quite a disappointing weekend there, you'd have to say, for Racing Point, as they're looking now like the 3rd quickest, but only could show 1 point then from this race. As we saw then, Lando Norris and Romain Grosjean are the only 2 drivers to not finish this race. As we look at the standings then, and obviously the driver standings, there's not going to be any surprises there, because it's just the results from this race. Bottas then taking the early lead, just as he did in 2019, and Mercedes then lead the way in the constructors. But we are actually tied on points then with Red Bull. Obviously 2nd place for Verstappen puts them ahead, but still that's an impressive start from us, considering where it's looking like the car might be. Renault in 4th, and AlphaTauri, McLaren and Racing Point now down in a lowly 7th place there.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you? You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled. Why do you think you weren't as quick as your teammate today? It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it? Thank you for your time.
So yep, that's our first race weekend over then. We gained some driver acclaim. I really don't know how the contracts work in this now then, in terms of like target positions and all that. I really don't know if what I did in this race was good or not. I really don't know how it works now. So hopefully, you know, we can do alright, because yeah, it's going to be tough to beat Leclerc, because he's obviously doing a fantastic job in the Ferrari. So yeah, we've still got our work cut out to match him, but still, it's an encouraging start there. We managed to recover some points, and hopefully it's the sign of things starting to recover a bit. But obviously, as I say, we've got these self-imposed challenges as well, mainly on the engine, which is certainly going to affect our development. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out then, as next time we've got the Vietnam Grand Prix. I really hope you enjoyed this first episode, and yeah, I shall see you next time.